Andrew O'Brien, President and CEO, Keyport Corporation, Ecuador, South America.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight, Andrew. And perhaps you can tell us a little bit about Quito International Airport. What makes it so unique?
It's a greenfield project that was under development for a couple of decades. When construction got started in the early 2000s, um, it was one of the only greenfield projects in the previous probably 5 decades that have been undertaken anywhere in the entire Latin American Caribbean region. So that very fact that they had to take an existing infrastructure, close it down, and within basically an 18-hour time span, open a brand new international airport that had to be fully ready from an operational perspective, customer service perspective. I think we've seen many examples around the world in a lot of major international airports that have had expansions, including London Heathrow, where they've had challenges when they open. So we knew about that, and we worked very closely with a number of international consultants, including Munich Consulting from Munich Airport in Europe, Mott MacDonald out of London, our lenders engineer, and we were able to fully develop and test this brand new airport on this brand new site and get it 100% ready for transition on opening day. And that's really what made it a unique project. And we did open in February of 2013.
So very, very distinct.
It's a distinct project and a different project. Most of us who've worked on that project for a few years will likely never have this type of professional opportunity again in the rest of our careers. That's how unique it is.
And of course, tonight you and the team are celebrating because Quito International Airport has just been recognized as South America's leading airport at World Travel Awards Latin America ceremony. How important is it for Quito International Airport to be honored in this way?
I think it's tremendous. The fact that this has been our 4th year running has really put Ecuador on the international map. I have to say that the recognition as being part of the World Travel Awards is really important to us. It carries tremendous prestige not only for us in Ecuador and regionally, but worldwide. And so when we're conducting air service development, when we're looking for new passenger service, new cargo service, we are able to use that World Travel Award recognition as a significant incentive and a significant feather in our cap to be able to show existing customer bases and potential customers in the future that we're ranked amongst the best in our category and amongst the best in the world. And that's really important when you're talking about a country like Ecuador, which is a small Latin American country that is a great tourism potential, but is still trying to grow their brand and their image internationally. And so doing that through new infrastructure, through its airport, as an economic motor for the city, for the country, having this kind of recognition is really helpful for the project and really helpful for the country.
That's fantastic to hear. So I think it's fair to say you're optimistic about the next few years.
We are indeed, because Ecuador is a country that is very much dependent on its petro economy, and they're trying to diversify the economy away from oil production. That doesn't mean that oil production is not significantly still very important, but by diversifying, I'm speaking about tourism. And obviously that's quite relevant and resonates importantly when you talk about the World Travel Awards. And we recognize our role over the first few years of operations of this new international airport in Quito that we play inside the city, inside the country, and how important that is for us to contribute to that development.
So Quito International Airport is very important to the local economy then?
It is. I mean, we're talking about, my favorite statistic is always going to be employment driven. I mean, we have 8,000 direct employees. We have a couple thousand more that are indirect employees. And when you talk about induced labor and induced employment, you can add another 20,000. So let's use a figure of roughly 30,000 direct, indirect, and induced jobs that are a part of, excuse me, the Quito International Airport. and that's a real economic motor for the city. We're doing hundreds of millions of dollars a year in business on both the cargo and the passenger side and other airport-related services.
Wonderful. So a slightly different question for you now. What do you see as the main challenges or trends regionally?
Look, I think I'm on my way from here to a conference in Montreal. It's an Airport Council International Conference in conjunction with the International Civil Aviation Organization. So that's ACI with ICAO. And for the first time, they're putting a joint conference together related to aviation security, or AVSEC. So security still tends for us to be the number one issue that we're all facing. This is civil airports around the world. We've seen many of the challenges that airports have faced in Europe recently. We've seen a lot of the challenges in growth in the Middle East. And we've seen ongoing challenges that they're facing in the United States to balance the needs of aviation security with the needs of customer satisfaction, efficiency, and speed in processing. We face those same challenges in Latin America. But when you add to that security issues for us, while we're not a hotbed at this moment for terrorism implications, we certainly are a hotbed for narco activity, drug activity, and even human trafficking activity. And these put a lot of strains on not only our infrastructure, but many of our partners and partner airports throughout the region. So we have to stay on top of that. We have to be on the cutting edge of that, because it's the only way that if we are, we can balance that out with the ongoing demands and needs of our customers who, 99% of them are traveling public, their families, their business people, they're visiting friends and relatives that want a seamless experience at the airport. A safe experience, I think, is a given and an expectation, but they want to be wowed. They want to enter the airport environment and they want to find exciting new shops, food and beverage options, retail options. Needless to say, they want seamless Wi-Fi and
they want it all.
They want it all, and they want really what would be almost a high-end shopping experience combined with the travel experience and the airport experience, and they want it to be friendly and pain-free.
I see. So quite demanding.
It is demanding, and I think there's no difference in Latin America from anywhere else in the world today. When you look at the leading airports, they're customer-focused, customer-driven, and that's how they're able to differentiate themselves.
And where would you like to see Quito International Airport then in, say, 10 to 15 years?
Well, that's an interesting question. We have a master plan. Most airports do, but we certainly do. And that master plan runs now until the year 2040. And so yes,
that's far planning.
Yeah, it's a long way out that we plan, but we take it in chunks. We update it and we revise it every 5 years. But right now we're planning a $150 million US expansion. Well, we will add more capacity to our airport, focused on the passenger experience, trying to make it even more seamless, as I said before, and adding to all of the needs that we have and the pressures that we have just to continually grow capacity with the growth of the economy and the growth of our business. But we also have a significant business in cargo. While we may only move 5 million passengers a year, we do see that growing each year. And the cargo side, we're already at 200,000 tons of cargo annually that we push through the airport. Most of that is export, and a lot of that is related to Ecuador's thriving flower sector and exports to the United States, roses to the U.S., American and European Mother's Day, Russian Mother's Day, Valentine's Day. These are all our peak seasons, and this is big business for us.
So big plans. We
have big plans because, it's a competitive environment. And if we don't keep up with the competition, if we're not on top of this with our master plan, if we're not investing wisely and timely fashion, then our competitors will beat us to that punch, and we can't let that happen. We have to be much more aggressive and much more proactive, and I think that's where we do a great job at Keyport.
Absolutely. And perhaps you can tell me a little bit about what made you decide to join Quito International Airport.
Well, that's That's a long story for me. I've been working as an expatriate, a Canadian expatriate in transport development for 15 years overseas. I've worked in 5 different countries in the Latin America and Caribbean region. So I think it's really a product of, opportunity and being in the right place at the right time. And I had an executive search firm find me 5 years ago. They said, Andrew, we're a year from opening a brand new greenfield airport. Will you come? Will you lead it? Will you help us take it forward? And that's what we've done, and we've done it.
Hard to say no to.
It's hard to say no
Yeah.
to when you have these opportunities, and these are definitely the kind of exciting international opportunities that I've always enjoyed as a professional.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, what a journey. And what are the main lessons do you think you've learned during your time as president and CEO at Quito International Airport?
Focus on your people. I remember when I was younger in my career, I would try to focus on projects and organization and just getting the job done. And I think that I was always pretty good at that. But what I've learned over time is that you never really escape the most important job of any CEO in any type of organization, and it's no different in the airport industry. I have to be really focused on the people, and you have to take care of them. You have to motivate them, coach them, train them, watch out for them. And I try to get to know my people on a personal basis as well as a professional basis, and look for the signs when they're doing well,
Yeah.
look for the signs when they're having a challenge,
Yeah.
and be able to balance that out and know when to move in and provide the coaching and leadership necessary to move the team and to move the people forward, yet at the same time with my eye on the goal of pushing my sponsors and my shareholders' agenda, which is to increase value for them. And again, focus on the people. That's critical. If you take your eye off the people, you're taking your eye off the business.
True words, true words. So last question for you tonight, Andrew. If there's one thing you could change about the aviation or indeed the tourism industry tomorrow, what would it be and why?
One thing that I could change,
If there's one thing you could change within the industry.
I think more collaboration. Yeah, and I think that can sound like a bit of a cliche, but it's true.
Rather than people, companies and airports and saying separate entities, you want them to come together more, work together more?
Yeah, and again, it can sound a bit cliche, we need to collaborate more and communicate more, but we do. And I believe wholeheartedly in that, and I say that through experience. I've worked in countries where I see very little collaboration, and therefore you see weak results. You do. Because if companies and stakeholders and interested parties are operating in silos and independently of one another with different agendas, it's not going to come together. And you may have some interesting results, but not the ones that you're really hoping for. I find that in Ecuador today, we're developing a more and more collaborative approach where several stakeholders have come together to promote tourism, to promote economic development, to take into account all of the different infrastructure requirements that you have in this industry. It's quite complex, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when we're together, it's amazing what we're accomplishing. When we're not, it's not that surprising to see where you can lag behind. So that's what I would change. More collaboration and more focus on doing it together. Put your egos aside, check those at the door, and just roll your sleeves up, get together, and get the job done. That's critical.
Well, let's hope that comes true.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you so much for taking the time tonight to talk to Breaking Travel News.
Yeah.
And we wish both you and Quito International Airport every continued success.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate, Kay, the opportunity, and thank you. It's a great night for the 8,000 employees of the Quito International Airport who've celebrated a win tonight as the Best Airport South America 2017 for the World Travel Awards. So thanks again.
No problem, and I can see you have your team with you tonight, so you must go and celebrate.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I think we might have a tequila or two.
Absolutely. Thank you again.